Chapter 2 Remix is full of Easter eggs and secret details that you never noticed, both new and old, so kick back with some snacks and popcorn as we go over 100 Chapter 2 Easter eggs in Fortnite. Just inside Eminem's Spaghetti Grotto, there's a hint at a brand new upcoming outfit. On the wall of one of the graffitis, you can see a fish stick skin, headphones, as well as a boombox. You might just think these are a random assortment of items, but what do these three have in common? Well, they're all aspects of this survey fish stick skin, so maybe we'll be seeing even more variants of him soon. What has just arrived though is Ice Spice's very own Ice Isle POI, which is an abandoned mall with many districts to explore and even more hidden references. Just inside her vault, apart from the expensive necklaces and other jewelry, you can spot a spray of New York, which is of course a reference to her concert there alongside Snoop Dogg just a few weeks ago. Not only that, but inside of the mall there's also other various references to New York. But the most eye-catching Easter egg within surely has got to be one hidden in plain sight inside of the Ice Isle vault, where right next to some stolen diamonds you can find some letters spelling GRA, which fans of Ice Spice and her music will know is her iconic catchphrase in her songs. Gra. But speaking of her music, there's also now subtle references with her weapons. Picking up each of them plays a subtle lyric, and these are actually two from her emotes that are in the item shop. Additionally, you'll see Sky's grappler is now an icy grappler, a reference to Ice's name, and shooting the scar grants a spicy chili pepper effect, so I see what Epic did there. However, there's also a huge secret that could indicate the return of one of the most popular skin sets of all time. If you visit Ice Isle, you'll instantly notice that the song playing in the background is a collab between Ice Spice and, you guessed it, Travis Scott. The song is also going to be available as a jam track soon, which could indicate very well that Travis Scott or Astrojack is going to return to the item shop, since it would be a wasted opportunity if they don't come back in a season like this. And while you listen to the Travis part while fighting the Ice Spice boss at Ice Isle, you might even notice another little Easter egg. When fighting her, Ice Spice will throw ice grenades at you, matching with her aesthetic and brand name. But speaking of her, you can also now discover yet another secret way of watching Ice Spice and Snoop Dogg's concert from the event. By visiting Risky Reels, there's now a secret button over at the small house with a projector inside. When pressing it, the screen will light up and it'll play the entire event that we witnessed before the start of Chapter 2 OG. And in a shocking turn of events, Juice WRLD is now being teased on the map. If you head to the southwest coast of the map, scattered on several different houses is now a spray revealing the Juice WRLD skin, just like we saw with all the others, and alongside that is the Adventurer Sky NPC, confirming the upcoming event. And from the range between these two sprays teasing him, we can tell the location should end up being massive. Another big surprise is that the bunker in Pleasant Park is also now open. Formerly you could access it through porta potties, but it closed in later Chapter 2 seasons. But now it's restored to its former glory, even though this version was only in Chapter 2 Season 4, where you can now fly the helicopter out. But one of the first things you can't help but notice in the new season is the giant Eminem sign that stands atop the mountains near the Spaghetti Grotto. This isn't a Fortnite original idea, but it takes inspiration from a real life sign which you might be familiar with, the infamous Hollywood one. And another neat detail this season is with the drum gun, which has a hidden new feature that some Eagle-Eyed players have managed to spot. Whenever you're reloading or when you stop firing with it, now it has a Snoop Dogg themed S smoke trail coming out of it, and you can tell Epic really paid attention to all the details. But not all of the details, as at the Doggpound there's a small mistake that's easy to overlook. While the agency received an overhaul, some things stayed the same, like the key card, which is still called the agency key card even though the agency technically doesn't even exist on the island. And there's another Easter egg inside of the Doggpound, and this one's related to Fortnite 7. That's right, because even though they've gone missing for quite a while now, by exploring the Doggpound you'll notice a special record plate that features the visitor in its very center, leaving us with a lot more questions than answers if this is hinting on a possible return. But I'm just wondering, when did the visitor get a platinum record? What has made its first appearance inside of the Doggpound though is a reference to both the Chapter 2 Season 2 but also the Remix trailers. If you visit the main agent table area, you'll immediately spot that there's a button there and you can press it, similar to how Midas and Snoop Dogg did in the trailers. While you would expect the table to function as in the trailers, it sadly doesn't, and the button simply plays a small sound effect from the Spy's theme music pack. And the secrets in the compound don't end there, because there's a heartwarming secret related to one of the season's main characters. I'm referencing Juice WRLD, whose chair can be found at the main table over at Doggpound's HQ. And not only that, it's also indestructible while every other chair isn't, making sure nobody disrespects his legacy. But moving a bit away from the center of the map and towards the rig, the first thing players will notice is that it's slightly different to the original, but there's another hidden secret that's a bit harder to spot at first glance. Deep inside of TNTina's vault, there's actually a small Fall Guys statue identical to the one that was added in Chapter 5 Season 3 as a part of the Fall Guys update. The only difference to this is that this one's a lot smaller, and there's no known reason as to why Epic added it, but it could just be them trolling us once again. One of the most famous Easter eggs in all of Chapter 2 that some of you may remember was an all-out war going on. Well, sort of, because if you visited Weeping Woods, you would quickly notice that each week a war between gnomes and teddy bears would escalate. It all started when a few bears captured a gnome and kickstarted the war, which in turn caused the gnomes to invade the secret basement and rescue their own kind. After weeks of battles, even some bringing in TNTina's explosive cans into the fight, the two sides managed to come to an agreement and find peace. The sad part is that Epic forgot to bring them back, although they did bring back the gnomes as a small secret questline where you have to collect one from each POI. Not all ends well though, because the Chapter 2 map has a lot more tragic secrets. You might remember the Coral Buddies, small creatures that once peacefully resided near Coral Castle. Their secret questline had you help their civilization advance weekly, and we saw them evolve from primitives to a medieval society, even reaching for the stars with great technological advancements. But when their chief scientist got a little bit too ambitious, it caused a massive burst of energy that completely wiped out their civilization, leaving only trails of what once was. The colorful civilization didn't return for Remix, as it was a wasted opportunity, because we know the Coral Chorus bunch would have been a perfect pick in a season focused on music so much. And we all know the middle of the map famous for the agency or the Doggpound, but what you might not remember though is that in Fortnite Chapter 2's first ever Fortnite Mirrors event, the central island underwent a spooky transformation. This change introduced a brand new dark atmosphere and an eerie terrain, and at the heart of this island stood the Storm King, which was a huge boss from Fortnite Save the World that was brought into Battle Royale as an LTM. In the mode, 20 players had to defeat the Storm King by targeting weak spots while dodging attacks like meteors, zombies, and energy blasts. And right before Chapter 2 Season 2 started, players began finding gold furniture scattered along the map, hinting at upcoming POIs. This would be the backbone of Chapter 2, and it led everyone to guess that the upcoming season would be centered around the character Midas, famous for his golden touch. Epic Games amplified the intrigue with teasers featuring golden handprints and ads in real-life places like Shibuya, Japan, building hype for what would become the agency storyline with Midas at the center. And what we noticed at the release of Chapter 2 Season 2 was that at the yacht POI, a golden statue of Midas appeared. This statue might have been an intentional nod by Epic to early designs for the character, which started speculation that the glasses were a part of Midas's initial concept. If you missed it the first time, you can spot it now, as the yacht POIs remained unchanged despite Meowdis's arrival. And a lot of speculation was also caused when a couple of players ventured to the island's shores, only to discover a very well hidden reference. At the outskirts of Chapter 2's island, inside the ocean, stood the Optimus Truckman, which not only could be a reference to Optimus Prime himself, but also a reference to the Season 9 live event, as he could be seen holding a wooden stick as a sword, similar to the mecha team leader from the event. Surprisingly enough, Epic remembered to keep this for the remix season, and you can find it right now deep inside the sea where it used to be. And speaking of events, not a lot of people remember, but first person mode was actually first introduced in Chapter 2. It was at the device event that the first person mode marked a notable shift in our perspective, both literally for the gameplay and metaphorically for what was about to come in the storyline. During the device event, players experienced sequences where they were transitioned into a first person view, being able to explore settings like an office environment, witnessing story events from a more personal viewpoint with Agent Jones addressing us directly. For some, the change stayed after the event ended, giving us our first ever look at Fortnite's first person combat, and flash forward almost 5 years and it's still not here. But in that same event, Agent Jones' office could be seen, which was a mysterious place at the time containing pictures of his family, a detail that really added to his character. At first, everyone was making theories on who they really could be, but later we learned that this was Jones's family who he'd left in another reality, providing them safety while working for the Imagined Order, a tragic but heroic sacrifice that made everyone sympathize with the character a lot more. And during the spy season, you may remember Deadpool took over the yacht, transforming it into his iconic style. This update included iconic art with a twist, with famous paintings being updated to feature Deadpool himself, adding his touch to classic pictures scattered around the yacht. This was just one of many fun Easter eggs from Deadpool's takeover, which also included a dance floor and Deadpool themed decorations all over the boat. But in that same season, players could also access a hidden room in the Battle Pass lobby to see Deadpool's bathroom? That's right, because to reach this area, you had to click on a vent on the right side of the lobby screen, which led to Deadpool's secret room. Inside, players could see him laying laying back and at times playing video games on a small screen, which was hilarious to see. This room also had his computer, which players used to check challenges and unlock various Deadpool Battle Pass cosmetics. And a few seasons later, players could find a mysterious room hidden under Simi stacks that popped out of nowhere. This contained an odd object that played music next to a bright orange suitcase. When players got close to the area, they could hear a sound that resembled music from the Tenet movie soundtrack, which led to many believing it was a teaser for a Tenet crossover, which, as you might know, never ended up happening apart from a trailer premiere in Party Royale. Although many similar Easter eggs have returned with Remix, which we'll touch on soon, this one is nowhere to be found, and it's likely Epic forgot about it. And as for another collaboration that was also teased but never happened, in Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 1, players spotted pink donuts on control panels as Steamy stacks, which looked identical to Homer Simpson's iconic donuts from the show. The Easter egg led to fan theories speculating about a potential Simpsons collab, and while a collaboration didn't actually ever happen, this small reference was added back in Chapter 2 Remix 5 years later. So at this point, who knows, it's probably inevitable we'll see the Simpsons added to Fortnite as a part of the Disney crossover soon. And another reference to a TV show could also be found in this season, as a crashed plane appeared on a small island in the northwest part of the island, sparking theories about a possible reference to the TV series Lost. This abandoned wreckage and the island setting felt similar to the show's mysterious crash and storyline, and although no direct crossover ever happened, the plane is still likely a small Easter egg in reference to the show. And after the flood season, players discovered a crashed spaceship near Craggy Cliffs, which belonged to an astronaut named Dio, who was the male counterpart to the Siona skin. To repair the spacecraft, we could complete a set of challenges that involved locating missing parts such as a battery pack and heat shield and reassembling them on the ship. Just after launching the spacecraft, players could get XP and rifts replaced all around the crash site, allowing you to use them around the map. But another Easter egg related to pop culture could be found in a house located near the west cliff of the map, southwest of Sweaty Sands, which includes a fun nod to the movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off. The scene it references features a garage window with a red sports car displayed similarly to an iconic scene from the film where Ferris's friend borrows a car. Now, this house will be used to tease the Juice WRLD collab though. And in the same season as this Easter egg, players could also unlock a unique corrupted style for the 8-ball vs Scratch skin by leveling up to level 350. No one remembers, but as you progress beyond level 100, the skin began to show signs of a virus slowly taking it over, appearing more and more corrupted with each milestone. And by level 350, the skin reached its fully corrupted version, turning completely red with glitch effects. And the Zero Skins backbling in Fortnite, which is also called the Black Hole, is a direct reference to the Black Hole event that marked the start of Chapter 2. The island was sucked away for a few days, leaving us with more questions than answers, but now there's a neat little reference to the time. And another skin that referenced something completely different was Delirium. His backbling is called the Illusion Rune, and it resembles the character Bill Cipher, which is actually from Gravity Falls. With its triangle shape and single eye, it's directly resembling it, and many players have quickly recognized this. It was never confirmed by Epic if this was a reference to the show, but it's quite obvious it was somewhat inspired. And the Winterfest cabin in 2019 also included some very cool interactive Easter eggs, like a banana peel on the floor that when you hovered over it made Peely peek through the window. Crackshot's cabin is still on the Chapter 2 map to this day, and players could also pick up and play a saxophone inside this cabin, which made the event even more fun. But what wasn't so fun was the first Fortnite event of Chapter 2. Players could encounter surprise zombie jump scares while exploring the spooky map, and these zombies would appear suddenly when you approach different objects or cans, making it terrifying to move around the island. Although this mechanic isn't back in the past Fortnite events, I'm sure that we'll see it come back in the near future. And something from the past though is the Pump It Up emote, which I'm sure most of you are already familiar with because it recently came back for the Halloween event. What many people don't know is that this Chapter 2 emote is a reference to the iconic pumpkin dance that we all know and love. And another fun reference is in Fortnite's character TNTina from Chapter 2 Season 2, which has also made a comeback in Remix. She appears to be inspired by Tiny Tina from the Borderlands franchise, and both characters share a similar style, with TNTina also themed around chaos and heavy artillery, much like Tiny Tina's persona in Borderlands. This has made fans very exciting for an upcoming Borderlands collab because, as you might remember, we had one in Chapter 2, but in Fortnite Chapter 2 Season 2's trailer, players could also spot a tree carving that briefly appeared in the trailer, which showed the silhouettes of various Fortnite characters. This carving acted like a small Easter egg, hinting at the season's theme of espionage and spy games. Among the figures in the tree, we could spot characters like Meowscles, Midas, and Lynx, all of who were central to the season's storyline, foreshadowing it. And another really cool Easter egg from this season was the creeping cardboard. It was a clever reference to the Metal Gear Solid franchise, specifically referencing the iconic cardboard box used by Snake for stealth. In Fortnite, players could hide in plain sight by moving around while in the box, just as Snake did to hide from enemies in Metal Gear. What's best is that a few chapters later in Chapter 5, Snake was added to the game, making this a great Easter egg. But also later that season, Midas's lair featured featured a wall full of golden heads of Fortnite characters that he turned to gold before. This display showed his power and role in the season, hinting at his ability to turn anything he touched into gold. Many of our favorite characters were featured in his lair, like Lynx, Love Ranger, Sunbird, and of course Peely, alongside many others. But in Midas's yacht, there was a secret reference that we never got to see return with REMIX. Back when there were in-game achievements in Chapter 2 that served as pop culture references, you could get the I'm Flying achievement as a reference to the Titanic by doing the T-pose emote on the top of the yacht's front, a reference to the infamous scene from the Titanic film. And in the Chapter 2 Season 3 trailer, Midas is shown being eaten by a shark, leading to speculation that he transformed into the Midas Flopper later in the season. Some players think that after his apparent death, Midas may have taken on characteristics of the Midas fish, which was a unique one that could be found in the season. Sadly, the fish hasn't returned this season, but still it seems plausible. And another theory that was confirmed was that the character Midas had a picture of him at a secret office. Rumors began circulating that someone was related to him, and indeed they were. The picture was a secret teaser for his daughter, Jules, who made her debut just one season later, taking over Midas's agency. And also making their debut in Chapter 2 was the small storyline between two very important characters that some of you may not remember. Chapter 2 fans may know who I'm talking about, and it's none other than the Heyman and Pipeman small story as we watch them move to various places. They even have made their return this season and are located right where they used to be, so you can pay them a visit, but sadly they haven't moved since. But something not a lot of people will remember is the grotto entrance from the original Chapter 2 Season 2 version, where it was shaped like a skull to give it a more menacing look, matching the Shadow faction. However, this season sadly it hasn't returned and now is overtaken by Eminem and not Brutus. But speaking of Shadow, let's not forget their iconic battle with Ghost, but I'm not talking about the actual war. Instead, you may remember both factions once had a battle for customers, as detectives within their ranks had opened stores in Retail Row awaiting commissions for the investigation on the island's whereabouts. This has been added in this season as well, and you can drop into retail to visit both faction stores. What we didn't get sadly though is a secret location from Fortnite Splashdown. In Chapter 2 Season 3, a secret location called the Pontoon was introduced, a small fishing vessel with a stash of loot found randomly outside the minimap. And each game you could find it on a random corner of the map, but sadly it's not back. And in that same season we also learned a big fun fact about Meowscles, because over at Catty Corner there's two different food bowls, with one having a big M for Meowscles and a small one for Kit, as if it wasn't already obvious, being confirmed that it was indeed his son. The location is set to be restored to its former glory soon, so we'll be able to visit this Easter egg once again. That's been Easter eggs in Fortnite REMIX. Like and subscribe for more.